see how to deal with it.
Yeah, that was a quick reenactment of how people felt every time somebody jumped at a 3-point pump fake. Alrighty. Welcome back to the Wisco Fanatics Wednesday. Jake and I are live. We're starting a little bit early just because we want to add some conversation to the Milwaukee Bucks discussion. So today we're going to go through the recaps of the 4 games that we've had since last Wednesday, and then we're also going to have some extra conversations now that Giannis is back, basically where the Bucks lie for the rest of the season, just because it's a big event. So just kind of how we did it when Giannis was out. We went through it and where do the Bucks go from here? We're going to do the same thing now that Giannis is back. So we're going to hit the intro, and we're going to get going.
Welcome to another episode of the Wisco Fanatics Show, where we cover the Packers, Bucks, Brewers, and Badgers basketball and football teams from an optimistic and realistic perspective.
Okay, so 4 Milwaukee Bucks games from last Wednesday until today. So, Jake, let's start with Bucks and Cavs from last Wednesday, and let's talk what you took away from that game.
Yeah, so the Bucks were on a heater. Second half of a back-to-back. Cavs were also in the second half of a back-to-back. They had no Mitchell, Harden, or Mobley in this one because, honestly, the Cavaliers are kind of jockeying for that top 3, top 2 seed, and they thought that it was better for them to rest against the Bucks team that is lower in the standings. So, obviously, just thinking about that, schematically, that makes sense for me. So, as a Bucks fan, you're like, good, we need this game. This was a good game for them to rest their players. I like that. It ended up being a win, as everybody knows. But some players that I wanted to point out, first of all, this was probably Miles Turner's best game of the entire week, if I'm talking, two-way. I know that Jared Allen ended up scoring. He was the leading scorer for the game. What did he score, 26 or 27? Yeah, he almost had the game-tying layup, but a lot of that stuff was off of dribble drives. He was, getting some dump-offs when Miles had to help. So it wasn't just like Jared Allen was going at Miles Turner, and Miles Turner was just getting, scored on. Miles, I thought, played tremendous defense. I thought he played with good energy. He dove to the rim. He finished his shots inside, which is something that you'll hear later tonight on Sports on the Go with Trage. I talked about how I want Miles Turner to be a little stronger down low. That's something that's an area of improvement for him. When we give constructive criticism, we mean it as constructive criticism. We mean hey, this could take you to the next level. It could make you go up a tier. So Miles, that's something that he could work on. Kevin Porter Jr. was tremendous in this one. Again, his 3rd straight game where he was just absolutely on fire. I absolutely love your take on Kevin Porter Jr., by the way. I wanted to give you credit before I said it because I'm going to talk about what he did in the second half because he was awesome in the second half. Tyler said yesterday, which is also going to be on the radio show, he said that as Kevin Porter Jr. goes, so do the Bucks. And I 100% agree with that, to be honest with you. Fuck. I agree. I just had to agree, I guess. But Kevin Porter Jr. was tremendous in the second half. He went 6 of 8 from the field, and he shot 1 shot outside of the paint, which he made, by the way, and it was barely outside of the paint. It was a little elbow jumper. But he was tremendous, getting downhill, finishing. He controlled the paint as he did the game before against the Miami Heat, where, we talked last week where he was tremendous in the fourth quarter. He got downhill and he got into the paint that game as well. So I love Kevin Porter's approach. I thought they used A.J. Green correctly, which if I could count on my hands the amount of times that I thought they didn't use him correctly, I'd have a lot of money just from this season alone. I don't think they use him to his full potential, in my opinion. Rollins was okay. He actually had good decision-making in this game. Just wanted to talk about one last thing before I hand it off to you. How in the hell, why in the hell, you can ask it either way that you want, did the Bucks shoot 5 free throws and the Cavaliers shot 27 when they had 3 of their best players out? Why is that a thing?
Do you want to know how I asked the question in my notes?
Go ahead.
In all caps, I wrote, "Are we dead ass NBA?"
Yeah.
27-5.
Yeah.
Bro, Kevin Porter Jr. and Kyle Kuzma should be shooting 5 free throws a game.
By themselves, yes.
By themselves, individually.
Yeah. Yes.
With Kevin Porter Jr. and playing downhill so much, not shooting as many threes, which he's capable of doing. He's just not doing well since he came back from his injury.
Yes.
One of the two things that I really said after this game is that Kevin Porter Jr. is quietly becoming the Bucks' second most important player, because as he drives the offense, that's where the ball movement goes. We spent a lot of time on it when, if you listen to the Wisconsin Sports on the Go show with Trade tonight, I hammered on ball movement. And it feels like when the ball movement is kind of stagnating and slowing down, Doc puts Kevin Porter Jr. back in, the ball movement picks back up, and the offense picks back up. That's why I feel that Kevin Porter Jr. is quietly becoming their second most important player. And then the other part of that I feel gives me some evidence to the claim that I'm making there is in the fourth quarter that Doc was giving Kevin Porter Jr. like those micro breaks that we see with Giannis getting once in a while, where he'd take him out for like a minute, 10 seconds, and then boom, you're back in. You come out just enough to get your wind, and then you're back in the game. And Doc was doing that with Kevin Porter Jr. on this game last Wednesday. So that's where I feel that supports that take. Miles Turner and Kyle Kuzma both provided some solid boosts. They added to the balance scoring with 7 guys in double figures. That's something that Trade has become a really big fan of, is the really balanced scoring and stuff like that. So, Dan, welcome back. The Bucks being 19 of 45 on threes is great. AJ Green and Kyle Kuzma are both 5 for 10. Kyle Kuzma becoming a good three-point shooter was not on my bingo card. I was just wanting him to shoot like 35%.
Right.
And he's shooting the three ball pretty well lately. To your point on AJ Green, I still feel the same way that I did back in November. He should be shooting double-digit threes a game, every game. He should be shooting at least 10 threes. I still feel pretty strongly about that, especially when you look at his percentages and stuff. Like, I mean, if the numbers tell you that 50% of his threes are going to go in, wouldn't you want him to shoot more?
That's what they should be having him just doing like a cone drill. He should just be running, not just standing there. Like, what are we doing? He should just be running, moving, and then somebody has to focus and move with him, and then you can have a pick and roll with Giannis. Like, I don't mean to interject. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I kind of took over, but like, that's where I'm watching the game, and I'm just like, dude, literally, we're just standing there, bro. Like, I understand the spacing concept, and that could be a good thing every once in a while. I like the play that they use with Giannis and AJ Green, where AJ Green comes up and sets the screen. That puts you in an advantageous situation. But they should be having AJ Green just running cone drills all day.
I think I said it. I want to say it was like the Heat game. It was somewhere right around there, like right before the All-Star break or right after the All-Star break. Yeah. But I was saying that when AJ Green is hunting shots aggressively, it makes other teams stress. It puts stress on other teams when they're like, oh, shit, we got to watch this guy. Where's he going? Where's he going? Where's he going? Where's he going?
Yes.
Especially when he's moving around rapidly like that. It seems like they kind of have him come off of one screen at the beginning of a play, and if he doesn't get a shot off of that screen, like, he's only shooting if the shot clock's under 5.
Exactly.
And that's kind of a tough spot for AJ to be in.
Yes.
So that's maybe something we look at in the summertime and say, hey, we need a coach that's going to do this. Next, with those guys, the Bucks actually had 9 guys shoot 50% or more on threes, which was great. 9 guys made a three. 50% of them, 5 of them were over 50%. The 27-5 free throw thing, it's ridiculous. It's been a problem all season. I don't know. I don't understand. I just don't get it. I'm at the point where I'm just over complaining about it because nothing's going to change, apparently, now that we're 50 games into the season. It's ridiculous. Other than that, Jericho Sims, his rim running has been working much better lately since the beginning of February. It kind of opened up some floaters then for Kevin Porter Jr. and Ryan Rollins, so that's a really good thing. On Jericho Sims, I asked this question in my notes in bold and in all caps. Does anyone want to box out and grab a goddamn rebound? The fact that Jericho Sims was the Bucks' leading rebounder with 11 and Kevin Porter Jr. was the Bucks' second leading rebounder with 8, the Bucks allowed 16 offensive rebounds and 25 second chance points.
Yep.
Which is 10 too many. And the game almost ended in overtime because of it. That's got to change. And unfortunately, it doesn't when we get to the rest of these games. But I'm going to end on Ryan Rollins because he's got to cut down the bad turnovers. We're going to talk about it more when we get into some of these games, and I'm going to jump ahead a little bit when I talk about some of the stats of it. But, Jake, you pointed this out, actually. The 2 turnovers that he had in the third quarter kicked the Cavs onto a 10-0 run when the Bucks were up by 12 points. Last week, he had a 1-assist, 4-turnover game. Versus the Cavs, he still had 4 turnovers, but he did have 9 assists, which is really good work. That's kind of what I was looking for from him, to at least be distributing the ball and not just committing bad turnovers. So with that, let's talk about Ryan Rollins and the concerning thing that I'm looking at. So this is from the beginning of February, 12 games. Ryan Rollins is averaging 5.2 assists, which is solid, but 4 turnovers per game.
I want to know. So I wish what we could know is how many of those are live ball turnovers, because it seems like he has more of those. Like, I feel like that's over 50% of his turnovers is when he like makes a bad pass and teams get a run out and they either get open 3 or they get a layup. And like, that's just kind of a little bit more context. We'd probably have to live track that, but I feel like his turnovers are like double whammies. You know what I mean? Like a Giannis turnover, he could get a charge. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And you have to take it out of bounds. You know, you're not getting killed in transition. I feel like Rollins, like you've talked about it a bunch this year, where you talk about, you know, him jumping and passing or him taking a bad layup. You know, that's also like a turnover. It's like a live ball turnover, taking that bad shot. And I totally 100% agree with you. So I feel like most of his turnovers are live ball turnovers, which turn into fast break points.
Yeah. As we talk about the next game, I'm going to find it. I'm already kind of working on it now. See if I can actually just pull it up. On the season, opponents, this is going to be just when he's on and off the floor. 10.7 opponent points off turnovers in his 32 minutes a game.
I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you.
I'll look for it in just those last 12 games, and I'll pull that up. It's going to be kind of gross, but I'll pull that up as we talk in the Bucks and Knicks game. So let's jump ahead. Bucks and Knicks last Friday. What did you take away from that one?
Yeah, this was so a couple weeks ago. I talked about, you know, the Bucks were going on a hot streak going into the All-Star break, and I looked at the schedule after the All-Star break and I said, all right, I don't want to say they're back yet, but if they win 4 out of 5, I will consider them back. The Knicks game being the 5th. They're not back yet. They got slapped around. Now, the Knicks were bringing the competitive fire because the game before this, which I believe was a Tuesday, and this game happened on a Friday, so they had Wednesday, Thursday off, and the Bucks only had Thursday off. So the Knicks are coming in fresh. They're coming in pissed off because they lost the game before. They're coming in with the competitive juices. They're also trying to compete for a top 3 seed in the Eastern Conference. They want that home court advantage versus as many people as they can. Also, doesn't help that the NBA literally wants the Knicks in the finals. You cannot convince me otherwise. They want New York in the finals. They've had Boston recently. Boston and New York, you know, playoff matchup, ratings. They want New York in the finals badly. They want to be able to market Madison Square Garden in June. So besides the point, the Knicks absolutely dominated and led behind Jalen Brunson, who for some reason just fucking hates Milwaukee for no goddamn reason. We are not the Mavericks. We did not trade you. Okay? Stop. Stop doing this to us. Every time I see Jalen Brunson, I'm like, God, I hate this guy. Oh, I know why I hate this guy. He feels like he shoots 95% against us. And it's on contested mid-range jumpers, or he gets into the lane, and he's very crafty for this. Gets into the lane, he gets somebody on his back, and he's super strong, and he just finishes with that left hand. And it's like, God damn it, that was a really good move, you little son of a bitch. And I have to, like, the whole time, right? The Knicks led 89% of this game. They mollywopped the Bucks in this one. Really, the only person that I would talk good about on the offensive end is Miles Turner. He had 19 points on 8 shot attempts, so he was flowing on the offensive end. Really, nobody else was getting the job done, in my opinion. Just talking about field goal shooting in general, in the first half, the Knicks shot 61%. They shot 13 of 22 behind the three-point line. The Bucks shot 55%. They shot 8 of 15 behind the three-point line. The offense was doing good in the first half. It was very good.
Yeah.
The second half, both teams dropped. The New York shot 44% from the field. They shot 8 of 20 from 3. And Milwaukee was just chucking because they were trying to make a comeback as the Knicks, were showing dominance in this one. They got out to a fast start behind Jalen Brunson. Like I said, that first quarter, if you point at the first quarter, Jalen Brunson has killed us in first quarter specifically over the last couple of matchups. The Bucks shot 32% from the field and 8 of 27 from the three-point line in the second half. So, I mean, they were, like I said, they were just chucking, trying to create momentum. That means that the Bucks were 16 of 42 overall from the three-point line. The Knicks shot 42 as well, but they made 21 of them. So, on the same amount of attempts, they made 5 more three-pointers. They rebounded the Bucks by 10, and the fast break points was just gross. They scored 23 fast break points, some of that off the turnovers that the Bucks had, and Milwaukee only had 5. So they killed Milwaukee in fast break points. Milwaukee only had 18 points in the paint as well. So in every single way imaginable, New York beat the Bucks. So you just go back to the drawing board on this one and try to throw that one away and leave it behind you.
Yeah, I wrote that the 5 fast break points is dog water, as is 18 points in the paint. You're just not going to win any basketball games.
No,
with those numbers.
No.
You can win shooting 16 of 42 on threes. That's 38%. That's decent. But 8 of the 16 makes came from Kyle Kuzma and Miles Turner. Those two were 8 of 15, and the rest of the team was 8 of 27, which is 29.6%. So it's on everybody else to pick it up. You mentioned on the first quarter was decent outside of Jalen Brunson scoring 22 points and having 5 turnovers turned into 10 points off turnovers for the Knicks. That said, the whole team was actually doing a really good job of driving and kicking. Mm-hmm. Again, the ball movement aspect of it, of not only does passing play into ball movement, but just catching the ball and moving decisively, whether it's a pass or a dribble. If you catch the ball, wait for the defense to reset, and while you assess everything, all you're doing is giving everybody on defense a chance to catch their breath, find out who they're guarding, and get set and get ready for you again. Whereas if you catch the ball while the defense is moving and then you're going back in another direction to counter their movement, then you're putting pressure on the defense. Catching the ball and staring at them does nothing for you.
Nothing.
So the ball either needs to move with a pass or you need to dribble. And again, in the first quarter of this game, the Bucks drive and kick was really good. The Bucks started 6 of 8 on threes, and 5 of them came off of drive and kicks. It was working really well. The Bucks allowed multiple 8-0 runs in the second quarter that gave the Knicks a cushion that they never gave up. Kevin Porter Jr. didn't have his best game, but he did have a stretch in the second quarter where he scored or assisted 8 straight. He did finish 4 of 12 from the field, but had 11 points, 6 rebounds, and 10 assists. So still found a way to be productive. Now, the 2 guys that I need more production out of, and I texted this to you. I'm like, Cam Thomas has had a few bad games in a row. To this game, 3 games, he was 7 of 25, which is 28% from the field, and 1 of 8 on threes in his last 3 games. So not great. And again, I want to see any model of consistency, but it's not 28% from the field over 3 games. That's not the consistency I'm looking for.
Nope.
Now, if he starts taking, some better shots, I'm okay with that because I know he can score. I know he can score in bunches, and that's when he can start taking a little bit less quality of shots because when you're feeling it, you're feeling it. And then take your heat checks. Absolutely. And then Ryan Rollins, he's got to take better care of the ball. I just said it with the Cavs game. Mentioned it last week. He was going toe-to-toe with Brunson in the first quarter, actually, for about the first 6 or 7 minutes. But then 2 of his 5 turnovers came in that first quarter. He had 13 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 5 turnovers, and was a team low minus 30. And I did pull it up. The numbers from February 1st through now, he is allowing, when he's on the floor, the Bucks are allowing 13.1 points off turnovers. So that's 2/3 of the game, essentially. You add 6.5 to the other third of the game. Just call it 6. You're talking about 19 points a game off turnovers since the beginning of February. Stop turning the ball over.
Literally shooting yourself in the foot, dude.
Oh, my God. You're literally – and we get to the Celtics game, we'll have another conversation about it. Trade said, boys in the roof, a barn wire pull is going about as well as the Bucks of late. Oh, nice. It's bad. The turnovers, it has to change. And honestly, the Bulls game, the first half was pretty good. Jericho Sims was an animal on the offensive rebounds.
Yeah.
Ousmane Dieng got off to a little bit of a tough start in the second quarter, but he picked it up really nicely. He didn't shoot well. He shot really bad, actually. I think he was 3 of 12. But he played the game the right way. And that's why when we get to the Celtics game, we talk about Giannis and we talk about Ousmane Dieng starting, it's because he plays the game the right way.
Yeah.
Get to the second half. That was rough to watch. And the ball movement was there in the beginning of the third quarter, but it was sloppy. You can't be sloppy with your ball movement. I know I just spent 5 minutes saying you need to move the ball, but you also can't be careless with it.
Agreed.
6 turnovers in less than 5 minutes had the lead down to 2 points in less than half the quarter. Bucks took a 15-point lead down to 2 by committing 6 turnovers in 5 minutes. Fourth quarter and the third quarter included, the Bucks went 7.5 minutes with 0 points. They went over 10 minutes without making a shot. They missed 17 shots in a row. And Trey just kind of asking us, is this the worst game the Bucks have lost all season? I would say no, just because it's such an outlier. Such an outlier to miss 17 shots in a row. Like, you could take 17 half-court shots in a row and not miss all of them.
The way that I would explain this loss was like getting punched in the stomach. Like, yeah, it hurts. The losses to the Wizards was like getting kicked in the balls, and there's not a comparison for me.
And that's where I was going to go with that question, was the game that they were winning against the Wizards by 4 points with like 35 seconds left and lost that one. That's the one that I would say.
100%.
The Bulls are still a better team than the Wizards, and to be leading by 4 with less than a minute to go, like, that's got to be a dub against a bad team.
I agree.
So the points in the fourth quarter, the Bucks scored 8 in the fourth quarter. That is the lowest scoring quarter in the NBA this season. I do still think if you're looking at the second half and seeing, that the Bucks scored more points in the first quarter than they did in the entire second half, and saying fire Doc, I do think that's a lazy thing to say, because that game specifically, I'm not going to say is on Doc Rivers, just because, like I said, 17 straight missed shots. What the hell do you want the coach to do about that? And it's not like every single one was at 1 second left on the shot clock with a center guarding Ryan Rollins. Like, they had open looks. Like, Doc can't go out there and put the ball in the basket for them. So on this game specifically, I'll hear it out for other things, but firing Doc for the fourth quarter and the third quarter of this game is a little lazy, in my opinion. I will say nobody outside Miles Turner. Maybe Bobby Portis shot the 3 well. Miles Turner was 2 of 5, which is 40%, which is great. Bobby was 3 for 8, which is 37.5%, which is a little bit above average. The team, 13 of 46, 28%. And then, again, this is going to go right into what you were just talking about on the live ball turnovers. Bucks had 19 turnovers. The number that I've wanted the Bucks to be around or under is 13. 19 turnovers turned into 20 points off of turnovers for the Bulls, who had 14 steals. That's 14 times that the Bulls got to go in the other direction without the Bucks being prepared to play defense. That's what live ball turnovers do to you. I would rather you throw the ball out of bounds 19 times than to just throw a bad pass that gets picked off, and now the other team is going down the other end with an advantage. Because in today's NBA, and we're going to get to this in the Celtics game, everybody's ready to shoot threes, and the best time to get a wide-open 3 is in transition. So by turning the ball over, letting the other team go in transition, that is the worst possible turnover to commit, because it gives your opponent the opportunity to come down in transition and find somebody wide open because everybody's prepared to shoot a 3. That's how you get your back broken, like the Knicks game, the second half of the Bulls game, and the Celtics game. So you can tell me what you took away from the Bulls game.
Yeah, I feel like I'm living a nightmare. Getting absolutely
bucket back in the day. Maybe he can. All right, fair enough.
Living my nightmare of losing to the Knicks, then losing to Chicago team, and then losing to Boston. I mean, that is literally my nightmare. I don't want to lose any of those teams. I
wish you hadn't said that, because I didn't really put that together.
Dude, when we lost to the Celtics, I was like, this is my fucking nightmare. I literally said that out loud. Like, this is my nightmare, dude. I literally hate this right now. So let's get into it. Bulls lost 11 straight coming into this matchup. They stopped that real quick. Going to talk about the turnovers since you were just talking about it and people are still have that in their brain. Yes, the 19 turnovers. The Bulls scored 20 points off those turnovers. Now, the Bulls had 18 turnovers. You would think the Bucks would have at least 18 points. Nope, they only scored 14 points. So the efficiency of scoring off turnovers is another thing that the Bucks have to get better at. They have to get to the free throw line more. They have to defend the paint and finish a fast break better, because I thought in the second quarter when they were up by 15 and things were relatively comfortable, they had an opportunity to really put this game away, and they fumbled the fucking bag, dude.
Yeah.
It was bad. I was watching that second quarter like, man, I hope this doesn't come to bite us in the ass. I was watching the game with my father-in-law, and I'm like, oh, God, dude, I have like a bad feeling about this, man. They're
honestly
playing.
the Bucks even had 10 fast break points in the first half. That's double and a half what they had on Friday.
Yeah. So I wanted to touch base on something real quick about Jericho Sims, because I'm glad that you talked about how he was an animal on the boards. You know, on Sunday, I saw somebody say that Jericho Sims needs to play power forward because he can't rebound. I was like, of all the things.
He had 11 rebounds back-to-back games, and of his 11 rebounds, 5 of them were offensive.
I literally commented to the guy, I said, of all the things to say about the Bucks, what went wrong with the Bucks over the last couple of games, that is the thing that you're saying.
I would be hard-pressed to say that that's not the thing that he's best at.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's either rebounding or catching lobs. Those are the two things that he's best at.
Both require jumping, which is his skill. So
that's literally his best skill.
Yeah, I was like, that's a choice, I guess.
That's probably top 5 dumbest things I'll see on the app today. Thank you.
Yeah, so that was that. So I was big on the efficiency of scoring this week because the Bucks were not. So I thought I would dive into the numbers, and we call ourselves optimistic and realistic. So here comes the realistic part of this. The Bucks lost the second half 69-31. Got smashed. Tyler talked about the fourth quarter, only scoring 8 points. That doesn't help. Bulls went on a 27-0 run. That also doesn't help. So in the second half, the Bucks shot 10 of fucking 47. 10 of 47. That means, and they were 3 of 23 from the 3-point line, which means they were 7 of 24 from the 2-point area.
Yikes.
The Chicago Bulls shot 25 of 41. They were 8 of 21 from the 3-point line, which means they were 17 of 20 from the 2-point area. You know why they were 17 of 20? Because the Bucks decided to take terrible shots and turn the damn ball over all second half. And Chicago was running. I swear to God, Josh Giddey had a freaking triple-double in the second half. That second half, people keep talking about the fourth quarter was bad. They got their ass whooped to start the third quarter, too. I think people are forgetting.
That's what I was saying with the turnovers.
Yeah. They got destroyed the entire second half, which is exactly what I'm talking about, the entire second half.
Yeah.
And just 50 to 26 in points in the paint, 22 to 15 in fast break isn't that bad. But losing like I said, the points off turnovers by 6, I mean, you can go down the list of everything that they lost. And this game was competitive in the first half.
Yeah. And the Bucks had a 15-point lead in the competitive half.
They just need a guy that is a consistent shot maker, which was supposed to be Thomas. And he hasn't been doing that lately. And when Kevin Porter Jr. is also going 4 of 16, it's a rough way to live.
Yeah. Andrew said at least we didn't lose to the Pacers on this stretch. Yeah, that's good.
Well, they got the Pacers coming up, so.
Connor, welcome back. Trage said it well. He said player execution is never thought of first. It's always easy to blame coaching. Both go into it. If they don't go hand in hand, losses like that happen. Honestly, I really don't even think coaching was the problem in the second half at all, because they had plenty of corner threes that were pretty open.
Yeah.
That you would be like, okay, yeah, I'll give that shot to AJ Green 100 times in a row.
Or Bobby Portis. Bobby Portis.
I mean, guys being open for threes in the corners, like, I mean, again, like, strictly because he's wearing a zip-up, Doc Rivers can't make those shots for those guys. Those are wide-open shots that they take 500 of a day in practice that just didn't go in that day. It's such an outlier. Like Jake's talking about throwing the Knicks game out. you just crumple up the second half of this game and just throw it out because it's never going to happen again for like 13 years. We're going to have to wait before we see another quarter that bad as the fourth. Shooting wise.
I hope it's longer.
I do too, but I mean, like that's the kind of outlier we're dealing with.
Yeah, I agree.
To try to find the last time the Bucks scored 8 points in a quarter, I bet you have to go back to like 2013.
I could see that.
Okay, let's go to the Celtics game and another game where there's just like offense just not there, and for me it was the defense. Oh my god. So Giannis comes back, right? Which is great. That's great. We're excited to have Giannis back. I only wanted him back if he was going to be 100%. Apparently, Doc said he's been trying to come back for a while. So I'm assuming he's 100%. I'm just going to operate that's the reality of the world that we're living in because we're not going to know until maybe off season and he comes back and he says, yeah, I was only at like 85% when I came back for that Celtics game. That's why I was on a minutes restriction, whatever. So that fine. What I can accept is a little bit of clunkiness because you're adding back a guy who is very, very ball dominant. And we just spent the last 3 games talking about that we need to have the ball movement doing well to make things flow better. And I can understand a little bit of disorganization just because Giannis is such a high gravity player. I can understand guys who haven't played with him yet, Ousmane Dieng and Cam Thomas, who have only played with him in practice. Stuff being a little disorganized. You're changing up the starting lineup for the 74th time this season in 65 games. And that's where we're at. Ousmane Dieng starting for the first time, which is awesome. There's reports of good chemistry between him and Giannis. What I cannot accept is a complete lack of effort defensively. Jake and I, if you've watched our show for a while, you've heard us talk about the guys that we really, really love is the guys that give the effort. Guys that are willing to dive on the floor. Guys that are willing to run out and can contest shots. That's why we love Pat Connaughton so much. That guy would dive on the floor and get bloodied up every single year in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
That dude would bleed from his eyes every single year in the playoffs.
Love.
I mean, guys that are willing to do that kind of dirty work, those are the guys that you need to have on your team. And I didn't see that from anybody in the Celtics game. I didn't see that effort. That's the stuff that I want, is I want to see effort. Because I can accept, your opponent shooting better or having better coaching. But there shouldn't be a time where the Boston Celtics come into your building and put out better effort than you do. That's what bothers me. Outside of a 4 or 5 minute stretch at the beginning of the game and a little bit towards the end of the second quarter where they cut the lead down from 22 to 14, there's just no effort there. 9 second chance points in the first quarter alone is unacceptable. 19 offensive rebounds for the second time this week. It's allowed 19 offensive rebounds. Another 16 turnovers into another 19 points for your opponent. And yes, I realize the Bucks lost this game by 27 points. But you're talking about giving your opponent 19 points. And I'm not saying that the Bucks, if you just take those away, that, it's a 19-point difference, and then we're talking about an 89-81 game, because I understand that that's not the realistic outcome. But you need to be somewhere around 12. And yes, I understand that means you still lose 101 to 81. But holding a team to 101 points in today's NBA is a really good number to be at. And that I could live with.
Well, people also need to realize that these turnovers create momentum for other people, which creates a series of events, which is how you get down by as many points as the Bucks have over the last 3 games.
Yeah. Again, I could accept allowing 101 points. Then we'd flip the script and we'd look at the offense and say, okay, what do we need to fix? There were a couple of stretches in the second half where it's Jesus, will the Celtics miss a 3-pointer?
Yeah.
That's what that felt like for a little while, even though some of them were contested. Many of them were not. The starters did get the lead down to single digits a couple times in the third quarter. Celtics were able to push it back up to 22. Kevin Porter Jr. and a bench unit got it down to 14 with 6 points by Pete Nance, which was cool. But only having 65 points through 3 quarters, I mean, damn. The Bucks have been approaching that in halves at times. And then 16 points in the fourth quarter. I get that the game was pretty deflated by that point, but scoring 81 points in an NBA game is a rough look. Now, I'm gonna talk Ryan Rollins first because I want to end on something of a little bit of a high note. Ryan Rollins the decision making. It's gotta get better, or I'm going to be willing to move him in the summer.
Yeah.
For him to have bad choices shooting and passing to finish with 5 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and 2 turnovers. I mean, it's going to be a cool story if he's in the most improved conversation, which he should be. But Jake, you and I had this conversation that the Bucks aren't trying to win most improved players right now.
We're going to get into that.
The role that we're in.
I like the conversation we had the other day, and I want people to hear it, so we're going to talk about that.
We're gonna have that after we finish this up.
Mm-hmm.
With getting Giannis back and Ousmane Dieng starting, those two actually scored the first 8 points of the game. Ousmane scored 8 points in the first quarter out of his 13, which was cool. So there's some optimism there, and I'm going to talk about what I think about Ousmane going forward. But this game was not a far cry from the ass kicking that the Celtics gave the Bucks at the beginning of February. So if the Bucks now go and win 2/3 of their games for the rest of March, then hopefully we can forget this one just like we forgot that one.
Big ol' sneeze.
All right. What do you got on the Celtics?
All right. Sorry. Allergies and such. It's 50 degrees outside, so my nose is just like, oh, it must be spring. So that was weird. Last 6 quarters, you're talking about the second half of the Bulls game and 4 quarters versus Celtics. The Bucks have scored 112 points. That's a rough look. That's about 19 points a quarter. That's tough. It's a tough way to live. Giannis coming back. I will sound a little redundant. I was happy. I was excited. I missed watching 34 dunk. I missed watching 34, give the snarl, get the crowd pumped up. But in my opinion, on the second half of a back-to-back, I don't know if I would have brought Giannis back in this game, personally.
He didn't play the first one, so it's not like he played back-to-back.
I know, but the Hawks game was always more important anyways. So I guess if you can look at it from both angles.
If you flip it and say it's the knock off the rust game,
that's the other side of the coin for me. But it's a big game tonight, and we don't have Kevin Porter Jr. for anybody who doesn't know. But yep. Kevin Porter Jr. is going to be missing this one. But Giannis comes back. I thought actually he did a nice job posting up, and I thought we did a nice job throwing some entry passes into him to get him some easy buckets where he didn't have to drive and use all of his energy to get to the rim. Giannis did his normal thing. He actually had a really nice play where he was getting into the paint, flipped it out to Dieng, and Dieng hit the three-pointer. And I was like, okay, I like that duo. That could be something.
Yep.
AJ Green struggled in this one, only got 3 shot attempts. This was the game where I was really like, why the hell is this guy not shooting 10 a game, bro?
Mm-hmm.
12 a game, bro. This guy is too good of a goddamn shooter.
Carvana's so easy, just a click, and we've got ourselves a car. See?
So many cars. That's a click-tastic inventory.
And check out the financing options. Payments to fit our budget. I mean, that's...
Clickonomics 101.
Delivery to our door?
Just a hop, skip, and a click away.
And what?
No better feeling than when everything just... clicks.
Buy your car today on
Carvana.
Delivery fees may apply.
I could accept on a night where he's not shooting bad or not shooting well for him to shoot like 6 to 8. But, dude, he should be shooting twice a quarter at minimum.
But only 3 attempts all game is just inexcusable in my opinion. No Kuzma in this game. Doc said it was a coach's decision. And for me, I'm okay with that. You get Giannis back, so you're replacing length with length. And yep. It seemed like Kuz maybe just needed like a game for a reset, which is honestly what I'm looking at this game tonight for Kevin Porter Jr. Like Kevin was on fire for a while. He's had a couple rough games. All right, we'll give you a reset.
Yep.
Give you an extra night off. Then you get the day off after. You get a little break here, a little mini break, and then it's right back at it, right?
Yep.
So with those minutes, they decided to spread them around. Thomas, talking Cam Thomas, who has been struggling from the field, like you said, struggled from the field in this one. Only had 2 points, 0 for 3 from the field. He played 11 minutes. They gave 13 minutes to Gary Harris when Gary Harris was a DMP for a couple of games in a row. So trying to work him back into the lineup, that part I don't understand, in my opinion, to be honest with you. I would have gave more of the minutes to Pete Nance because the Bucks, you look at their energy level over the last couple of games. We have talked about this repeatedly with Pete Nance. Pete Nance is energy. He is infectious. Energy is infectious. I would have gave more minutes to Pete Nance and allowed him to play a 3 or a 4 position. He can guard out under the perimeter anyways. He basically is a Kyle Kuzma without being able to dribble and get to the paint. He doesn't have the passing ability of him either, but, he's got the length. He's going to play with energy. That's what I feel like Kuzma does at times as well.
I feel like Kuzma's a little bit stronger, but we're kind of nitpicking.
Yeah, but I would have gave more of those minutes instead of giving them to Gary Harris. And I have nothing against Gary Harris, but I would have gave more of those minutes to Pete Nance, and I would have allowed Cam Thomas to try, in a game where you're getting murdered anyways, I would allow Cam Thomas to try to build up a relationship, some rapport, with Giannis on the floor as well. Because that's going to be something that they're definitely going to need later in the year, as we are later in the year right now. So one last thing I wanted to talk about was I brought it up on the radio, Sports on the Go with Trades. We're going to keep plugging that because we're on there and we want people to listen. What's up, Reggie? How you doing? I want to talk about points in the paint. Now, again, I brought this up yesterday. The Bucks over the last 4 games have given up 170 points in the paint. They have scored 110. So if you average that stuff out, they're losing on average over the last 4 games. They're losing the points in the paint by 15 points. Now, to go along with all the other stuff that we have seen them do, and we're going to keep harping on it because this is the reality of the situation that we're in. The offensive rebounds you're giving up, the second chance points, the turnovers, all this stuff equals bad basketball. So I'm here to say today is the reset button. These are a very important next 6 games. You play the Hawks twice, who are on fire. They're coming into town tonight. We play them on the 14th in Atlanta. You have to win both those games. You also play the Jazz in that stretch. You play, I believe,
Magic on Sunday, and the
Magic who are ahead of you. Yeah, so this is a very important 6-game stretch. The Bucks have to win at least 5 of these, in my opinion, and you have to win both versus the Hawks. So this is the reset button for the Bucks.
So the way I'm looking at it, I said this for the Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trades show.
Yes.
Is I don't even think they have 6 games.
Yeah.
I think you have about 4 or 5 games to try to figure something out and make something happen. To find out if it's even doable now that you have Giannis back, to see, okay, can we do the things that we did in February, and can we get into the play-in and just see what happens? Like that's best case scenario, is to get into the play-in and then see what happens. I'm down to try it. And again, it's only if Giannis is 100% that I want him out there.
Yeah.
So the question becomes, with Giannis back, 1, if they figure it out, then what? And in my mind, that's where I'm at with the play-in. Like, you get in, see what happens. And then if they don't, then what? So I'll pose you the first question. If they figure it out, they go into the play-in, is there anything else that you would want to say on that part of it?
Well, they go into the play-in, I guess, just throwing out matchups and who they would play out the window. I would think that a team that is the 1 or 2 seed would not want to face Giannis in a 7-game series in the first round. So if they figure it out and they do make the play-in, and we're playing hypothetical here anyways. Let's say they figure it out. Let's say they make it as the 8 seed. We're not going to give them the 7 seed. We'll say they make it as the 8 seed.
Yeah.
If they make it as the 8 seed, I would think if you're the Detroit Pistons, you're pretty fucking pissed off.
Yeah.
Because you haven't been a 1 seed in a long time. This is supposed to be about you, about a young team up and coming, and the only thing people are going to be talking about is this the last playoff series for Giannis? Could this be the last playoff series for Giannis? Is this the last time we see Giannis in a Bucks jersey? That's all you're going to hear. And then on top of that, Giannis owns Detroit. So if you're the Pistons, you don't want the Bucks getting the 8 spot, which they have a pretty comfortable lead over Boston, but Boston could take that. I would love Detroit in the first round. I would think the Bucks actually have a chance in that series, to be honest.
I think they have a chance. Yeah.
If they play the Celtics, they're dying. They're going to die versus Celtics. I'm just going to call it like it is.
Yeah. They might win a game, maybe 2, but I would not pick them in the series.
No, absolutely not.
Okay, so let's flip it around. And if they don't figure it out, then what? And this is the conversation that we kind of had with Trage a little bit for the radio show. And my thought on it is you then focus the rest of the season preparing for 26-27. Mm-hmm. So Kyle Kuzma, 0 minutes. Bobby Portis, 0 minutes. rest of the season. Those guys are the 2 top salaries that you have on your team. And if you're going forward, planning on next season, John Horst is going to use those 2 salaries to make a big swing trade. I would put that at like an 85% likelihood of that happening.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I was like, okay, I understand not trading Bobby at the deadline. If you're going to use his $15 million salary in the offseason to pair it with Kuzma's, and then you can look at somebody who's got a $40 million contract, maybe attach some other pieces and some picks, get a third team involved and some more salary, and you try to find another max contract player that you can add to the Bucks.
Mm-hmm.
So if the Bucks aren't figuring it out, you give Giannis and Ousmane Dieng as much playing time together as humanly possible.
Yeah.
I'm totally fine with using Kuzma and Bobby, their salary, to acquire a shooting guard. I'm, like I said before when talking about the turnover situation, I'm willing to begin to include Ryan Rollins in trade talks. So if the Bucks can do something and try to make a swing for a guy like Devin Booker using their salaries and picks, I'm on board with that. Trading from front court depth to upgrade your back court, and you're running with Kevin Porter Jr. and Devin Booker, and then AJ Green as your 6th man. I'm totally down for that. And then you upgrade Pete Nance to a full contract. You keep Jericho Sims. You keep Miles Turner. You keep Giannis. There's your front court. You let Ousmane Dieng play every position from 2 to 4, and then you add a couple pieces around them. That's where I'm at. So rest of the season, I only want to see guys playing that are going to be part of next year's team.
I'm 100% down for that.
Okay. Anything else you want to say on the Bucks, what they should do rest of the season if they don't figure it out and start winning a handful of games in the next week and a half?
Yeah, I mean, everybody talking about fire Doc. I mean, I think the writing is on the wall, for those people that are pretty actively waiting for it, which in my opinion is kind of sad. That goes back to a conversation we've had over the last couple of years of like the "I told you so" people. I feel like people waiting to see Doc Rivers get fired are in that same category.
Yeah.
Why not just enjoy the team that you like and cheer for them to win?
Yeah,
he's not going to be the coach next year, anyways. In my opinion, I think that's going to be something that Giannis signs off on. I think that's going to be one of the demands that Giannis makes. And something that we kind of kicked around just to keep Giannis happy was, why not just bring over the Greece national team coach? Why not?
I'll give it a shot. I'd rather have the Greece national coach, is what I said to you. I'd rather have him than like Frank Vogel.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. I'm on board with that.
I'd rather have him than Thibodeau. I mean, just recycling coaches.
Yeah. And yeah, I don't want to do that. Hell no. But I will say, on the Thibodeau thing, the Bucks would play hard because he gets players to play hard for them. So we wouldn't be complaining about effort.
I'll play 38 minutes a game.
That would be the one thing that we would get out of that. But besides that point, I wanted to talk about real quick before we switch over and we invite Mikey in and talk about Badgers, which the first game we're going to talk about with the Badgers is also not exciting, like most of the Bucks games this week. Just talk about Ryan Rollins, and we both agree, like, hey, Rollins is a nice young player, but the Bucks are not in a situation where they need to be cheering for people to win Most Improved Player. We're not in a rebuild. We are in the reset motion of this franchise right now with Giannis as the cornerstone. So, to go to your point about Devin Booker, we've been talking about this for the last couple of weeks, really around the All-Star break is when, this thing started to heat up. There was a video of Giannis talking with Devin Booker, and, I started daydreaming of like, oof, Devin Booker in a Bucks jersey. The Bucks haven't had a mid-range sniper since a guy wearing 22 wore a jersey in Milwaukee, and that worked out pretty well for Giannis. So Devin Booker, the guy scored 70 points when he was fucking 20 years old before he was able to have a legal beer. So that's insane. I would absolutely sign off on that, and I would sign off on Ryan Rollins being the major piece move from the Milwaukee Bucks. So Rollins, nice little player, like I said, but he's getting coached up by Rajon Rondo. This is something else that we talked about last week. Not last week, but we were talking the other day. Rajon Rondo, he had the ability to be the star. He had the ability with Hall of Famers on the floor to be the guy that the defense had to worry about. Rollins with Giannis on the floor, has not shown me that ability. He had a really, really good game early in the year versus the Warriors. Giannis did not play that game. He's had moments where he's had good runs, but he has never been able to take control of the offense, passing, getting to the paint, and decision making like Rajon Rondo has. So I don't want to hear about him being coached up by Rajon Rondo because I don't see any of Rajon Rondo and Ryan Rollins.
That's the thing, is like he's not playing like Rajon Rondo.
So that's just the last thing I wanted to say. Now we can talk about Bucky.
All right. So we're going to jump over to the Badgers, and we'll bring in Mike. All right, Mike. Sorry, not sorry. Welcome back. And I'm going to make you go first. And we're going to start with the guards from last Wednesday against Oregon, which you stayed awake for, and I commend you for, especially given the way that this game went.
Yeah, well, first off, I had to backtrack. I was before like today's show. I'm like, crap. This game was on Tuesday, right? So we don't have to talk about it. Sure shit. No, it was not. It was Wednesday night, and we would have to talk about this today. So, no, it was a bummer, man. I couldn't believe I did stay up for it. I was in and out in the first half, but then I stayed up the rest of the time. And no, I mean, it was ugly all around. I mean, we'll start with Nick Boyd, I guess. 32 minutes, 11 points, 4-12 from shooting, 2 rebounds, 1 good sign. He did have 7 assists, which was nice to see. He's actually had now 17 assists in the last 2 games, which is a great sign, obviously, with your star point guard. Did have 2 turnovers, did have 1 steal. I'm going to commend Oregon actually quite a bit because they did start out in a matchup zone to start the game, and the Badgers did seem to shoot out of it at first. They got out to that 21-12 lead, but then they did what a lot of other teams did that have given us problems. They packed in the paint defensively, and that's not exactly when you do that to a team. When you do that to a team like this Badger team this year, Nick Boyd's not going to have the greatest night, and it seemed like that was kind of the case. He wasn't able to get downhill necessarily, and it took him out. It got everyone out of whack essentially because we obviously know the final result. When you only make 8 2-point field goals from 8 field goals from inside the 3-point line all game, that's trouble. That's definitely trouble. I know we're a 3-point shooting team. You go 14 of 45 from 3. I think the 45 attempts is a school record. It's still, what's the percent? 31%, which not terrible, but I mean, still at the end of the day, to pair that with the 8 field goals inside the 3-point line, that's going to smell trouble for sure. So, no, I mean, 3 of 11 for layups. That's another atrocious sign too. It seemed like we were sleepwalking, especially the fact that we scrapped it to a halftime lead, 33-30, watching that game. It was crazy because Oregon really wasn't playing great at the time, but like you could tell with the pace they were going to hang around because we obviously weren't, getting it together either on our end. So, and then case in point, we give up 55 points to them in the second half and just get absolutely boat raced. And we deserve to lose this game by all means. But I mean, I do think I'm not going to give this full excuse because I do think these West Coast trips do cause problems for freaking everybody. We literally saw it last night with Nebraska getting their absolute shit rocked at UCLA, which UCLA is a tournament team. So I don't want to discount all of this because
Nebraska is also better than Wisconsin if we're being realistic. Yeah.
And I know, and Oregon, to their credit, Nate Biddle was out most of the year. He's been back, I think, just the last, prior to the contest. He's only been back for like the last 3 games too. So we do know who he is, but just planning like what you want to do against him and whatnot, maybe that kind of caused got a little hectic for us. But no, at the end of the day, we still got to beat a team like this. And it's, it's just, again, this up and down roller coaster with this team all year. We're beating really, really good teams. And then we're still playing down a little bit to the teams that we should win. So going into March, it's not necessarily the best thing, but obviously there are better roads ahead. So, and my final point on this is we're now 2-9 when we don't score 80 points. So again, going back to that magic number once again, if we hit that 80 mark, good things are going to most likely happen with this team. When we don't hit it, it's probably going to go downwards. So just want to.
Before you go, Tyler. I wrote down the 80 point mark stat as well. I wrote for comparison, it's like a couple of years ago when the magic number for the Brewers was scoring 4 runs, and they were just like basically unbeatable when they scored 4 runs. A couple of, 2 years ago, it was like, dude, they lost like 15 games and they scored 4 runs and they had like 70 wins. It was like, Jesus Christ, dude, just score 4 runs, dude. It's not that hard.
Yeah. Yep. On that point, I do kind of agree with you. Like the West Coast thing, we saw with the Bucks for like 2 decades that they couldn't win out West. And I think the second half kind of shows that. Like it felt like they kind of ran out of gas, ran out of focus in the second half, which I would say basically like the quote fourth quarter, like the last 10 minutes or so, is when they started kind of having more turnovers and just not getting any stops. I mean, they had 12 turnovers that turned into 24 points for Oregon. Giving up 24 points on off turnovers in a college basketball game is wild. Yeah. Also, they got outscored in the fast break 17-4. And they got outscored in the paint 34-16. Yeah. Jake's going to talk at length about. John Blackwell, I think he goes right to Mike's point about they shot well from 3 but did not shoot well from 2. It was nice that John Blackwell scored 22 points, but he was 6 of 18 from the field and 6 of 14 from the 3-point line. 6 of 14 is good. That's totally fine, but I don't love the shot distribution there. John Blackwell is a much more capable player. He can do a better job of getting himself some better mid-range looks or at the rim. And that's going to parlay really nicely when we get to the Washington game. Andrew Rohde had 8 points. He was 2 for 6 on threes and 2 for 2 from the free throw line. Had 2 rebounds and 2 assists. Or not 2 assists, 2 steals. 0 assists. I'm so used to him having something in the assist column because this is the first time that he had 0 assists in a game this entire season. Braden Carrington, relatively quiet game. He was 3 of 6 on the field, 2 of 5 from the 3-point line, had 8 points and 2 rebounds, only played 16 minutes. That was his lowest minute total since the Badgers absolutely destroyed Penn State. And before that is when he was kind of not really in the rotation that much. And then he kind of burst onto the scene, especially kind of getting into the Minnesota game. And from then on, he's been playing 20, 25 minutes a game, but only 16 minutes against Oregon. So, yes, it's nice that John Blackwell had 22 points, but I don't really have a lot of super great stuff coming from the wings. So, Jake, what do you take away from the bigs?
Yeah, so I'm just going to double down on those turnovers real quick. 12 turnovers for the game, 9 came in the second half. So the second half, the wheels absolutely
It was so bad.
Dude, I am so happy that I chose to watch the YouTube version of this game because I was like, dude, if I would have to sit through this for 2.5 fucking hours, I would have been pulling my hair out, dude. Yeah. Oh, it was still a tough watch on the YouTube recap, bro, which is like 30 minutes or like 31 minutes or whatever it was. But, the Badgers, I feel like they settled for a lot of shots overall as a team. 45 three-pointers is an NBA stat because usually in the NBA you shoot 84 to 90 shot attempts, I think would be close to the average. Sometimes you get up near the 100, sometimes you're under the 80, but it's pretty rare. You probably shoot 85 to 90 shots a game in the NBA. They shot 66 shots. Oregon shot 54 total shots. For comparison, the Badgers 45 three-point attempts. I really feel like they were just settling because that goes more to your point with the legs. Not only the percentage, but I don't think they could drive. I don't think they had the legs. And, it goes to my next point, which the Badgers lacked physicality, which to me, when I was watching this game, felt eerily similar to earlier games this year, where they just got out-physicaled versus BYU, out-physicaled versus TCU. It felt like we were just honestly just giving Oregon whatever they wanted. And then sloppy passing. This game was just all around it's like when your buddy gets too drunk and you watch him piss outside and he's pissing half of it down his leg. I was just like, I'm just watching my friend piss on himself right now. This is horrible.
For the record, I've never been that friend. Just want to throw that out there.
Hey, I'm going to laugh at my friend if I see him pissing on himself. This situation, not laughing at this one. So my last point I want to make is the big men. I'm going to focus on the big men here. So Bielowskis, 5-9-3, did a nice job rebounding. He was 1 for 6 from the field, so not super efficient. Nolan Winter, 7 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 for 7 from the field, 1 for 4 from 3. Austin Rapp, 8 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists. So the Badgers actually did win the rebounding battle, but he was 2 for 8 from the field, 1 for 6 from 3. Overall, the big men, 20 points, 22 rebounds, 7 assists, 6 of 21 from the field. That is a hot, steaming garbage of 29% and 3 of 15 from 3.
Yikes.
even more hot steaming garbage of that averages out to 1 for 5, which is 20% for people out there that can do normal math in their head. That's bad. That's all bad. All of that is bad. Oregon shot 71% in the second half, 17 of 24 overall in the second half. They shot 54% from the game. So 71% in the second half, obviously giving up the 9 turnovers and giving them easy shots. This game sucked. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Yeah, I'm so sick of losing to Oregon now. It seems like we've been losing to them in so much.
In everything, bro. We lose them in freaking everything.
Trage said they get behind taking early in the shot clock, settle shots, and dig themselves a hole. And the answer is always try to jack up more instead of try to get ourselves slowing it down, hunting good shots, and working themselves back into it. I think that, too, kind of goes with the focus/fatigue aspect of it.
You know what got them out of these holes last year that they don't have this year was John Tonje getting to the free throw line and stopping momentum and starting momentum for their team. They don't have a guy. That should be John Blackwell, by the way. Should be the guy that stops momentum and gets to the free throw line because he is very efficient at the free throw line. They don't have that guy this year. That's
spoiler alert for what I'm going to say when we get to this game. Trage also said turning up the intensity on the defensive end and try to create fast breaks. That would be nice. And, I mean, I will say with the Washington game, the defensive intensity was high, even though there was a super, super, super soft double technical given out at the beginning of this game to Nick Boyd, and I forget what the dude's name is from Washington, but a super, super soft double technical for a couple of guys just like fighting over the ball and saying some stuff to each other. Like, you didn't need to give out double text for that. You could have just said, hey, guys, break it up, and then moved on. But despite that, the intensity was high. So, Jake, what did you take away from the Bigs against Washington, an afternoon game on the weekend?
Yeah, I love Sunday afternoon basketball games, dude.
Especially college basketball.
Yeah. Dude, just something about it. And, you know, I saw a post that came up. This is unrelated to the game, but I saw a post that it's the time of the year where we get to hear a guy yell onions at my TV, and it gets me going, dude. Onions! Like, I don't know why that hits. It just hits, dude. It's
Rafferty, man, every time.
So I'm very much looking forward to a guy yelling onions at my television. We're so close. We're there. But the Badgers had to create momentum because what you don't want to see going into March is what happened in Eugene. And what you do want to see happen is ball movement, defensive intensity, and discipline. I feel like they play very disciplined versus Washington. I don't have much to report on the offensive end. I mean, Nolan Winter had a nice game, 13 and 9. He shot 50% from the field. Rapp didn't really have much. Garlick played some good minutes, 8 minutes, scored 2 points, and Bielowski scored 6 points on 3 shot attempts, made both of his 3-pointers, so very good for him. But what I do have to talk about is how they were running the floor hard on the offensive end. Yes, they were playing hard on defense, but then they were running the floor, getting down, and that's part of the playing fast that people don't think about. They just think about the ball moving fast, which, yes, has to happen. But you have to have people in the right places for things to work correctly.
It's like we talked about that at points this season about Nolan Winter getting down the floor and having guards on him and getting mismatches. So,
and then creating mismatches with his box out, right?
Yeah.
So it's just like a machine, right? Every part has a job. This part of the machine doesn't work if this part isn't doing its job. And for the big men, running the floor hard and getting down to the paint, creating that advantage that the Badgers are going to have with the big men posting up down low, that creates shot attempts behind the three-point line, which we have a guy who made a lot of them on Sunday. And it's because people were playing hard.
Yeah.
The effort was there. I was very pleased with the effort after watching what happened in Eugene. I was like, oh, yes, playing physical, setting better screens. Everything about this game, they looked like a team that got their ass whooped the game before. Because you could tell the focus was there, and guard was not playing around with them in the film room. I can promise you that.
Guaranteed they got screamed at all day Thursday, Friday.
Yes, I was very proud of how they played in Washington.
Yeah, looking at the wings, John Blackwell started 0 of 2. The Badgers actually started 0 of 3 from the three-point line until Bielowski made one. He was kind of the guy that kicked the door open. He said Trey Young head is a Hawk's nest. I'm glad we don't have to see him at all anymore this year. But what I wanted to say with John Blackwell from the Oregon game into this game, something that Jake just said with John Tonje, having a guy who can get you to the free throw line. John Blackwell's got to be more aggressive offensively. Mm-hmm. Him being passive on offense actually got him into 2 spots in this game where he was in a bad spot, looking to pass instead of being aggressive, and he committed back-to-back turnovers. There was a point in the second half where I think he had a lane to go, and Nolan Winter had a great steal, and he opted for a contested jumper just between the free throw line and the restricted circle, when if he takes one more dribble, he had a wide open left-handed layup. That's the kind of thing where it's like, dude, you got to be aggressive, and you got to want to get to the rim. Mm-hmm. I feel like John Blackwell's athletic enough to poster somebody, and he doesn't. But if he breaks it out in March, I'll be okay with it because it'll be really exciting. But like Jake just said, with getting to the free throw line, I feel like he's got an opportunity to be more aggressive, and he is efficient enough that I'm good with it if he's getting to the free throw 8 or 9 times a game, because I feel like he's going to knock down somewhere between 6, 7, 8 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Trade said he wants to see Bieliauskas be a little more aggressive offensively, looking to be a scorer. I feel sometimes watching he's not. I think part of that's because he's a freshman. I think people forget that he's a freshman. But back to Blackwell, he had 7 points. He was 1 of 5 from the 3-point line. He had 5 rebounds. He had 4 assists, which is nice. But he committed 3 of the team's 5 turnovers. Yeah. So, like I've said with Ryan Rollins and the Bucks, I know I've brought it up with John Blackwell before. He's got to get his turnovers down, ideally 2 or fewer a game.
I think he's going through a little bit of a funk, but hopefully he'll get out of it.
Like I said, those back-to-back turnovers, I think, came from him being passive offensively instead of aggressive.
Yeah.
Andrew Rohde, he got off to a rough start shooting, but he was making the right passes, something in the Oregon game that just wasn't there really at all. He played good defense. He literally did a little bit of everything on Saturday. He had 3 points, 1 rebound, 2 assists, 2 steals, and 1 block. He just did a little bit of everything, just made the plays, a play here, a play there, some good on-ball defense, made a shot. Like that's kind of, I guess, how Andrew Rohde has played this whole season. You'd look at him and be like, oh, he averaged 5 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, a block a game. Like just a little bit of everything for Andrew Rohde in this game. And then we get to the man of the day, the man of Badger history, and it's Braden Carrington. He came in, hit a 3 right away, being the spark plug that he is. Started 2 for 2 from the 3-point line. He punished a big for giving him too much cushion. He actually made some really nice passes to Nolan Winter using the gravity that he created by making his threes, which was great. He was 3 for 6 on threes in the first half. He came in around the 15-minute mark of the second half and just went absolutely nuclear. He made 6 out of 9 threes in the second half. 9 is a new program record. Brad Davison and Bronson Koenig previously had 8. He made 9 out of 17 threes of the Badgers total. The career high 32 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, could have been 4. I think Nolan Winter missed a layup, and then a steal and no turnovers. I really don't think you're ever going to see a better game from Braden Carrington, but I would love it if he somehow topped it. But it was awesome seeing him just the last 3 or 4 minutes, just heat check, and he made 3 out of the 4 heat checks that he was shooting, even 4 feet behind the 3-point line. It was just super, super fun to watch. So loved it. Can't wait to see him play again. Really excited. I will say Steinbach for Washington is a really nice piece. If Nolan Winter does decide that he's going to try to go to the draft this year, that the Badgers should try to see if they can get Steinbach in the transfer portal should he decide to go that route. But that's a question for the offseason. Mike, what did you take away from the guards?
No, it was a great little transition because, Nick Boyd, he's obviously played a lot of great games for us this year. But once again, I think you could argue this might be his best game all year, borderline, because he was such a factor on both ends of the floor in this game. Not taking anything away from BC for sure, but in 32 minutes, Nick Boyd, 22 points, 11 of 20 shooting, no threes, it gives you kind of an indicator. Once you hear that in a stat line, it's like, all right, we know how he got his points. He got downhill on fast breaks and layups, and he, got to his spots in the paint. My guy had 9 rebounds. 9 rebounds. That is a season high for him. I think he might have tied Nolan Winter in rebounds this game.
Nice.
Nuts. Something like that. But 9 rebounds, that's insane. 5 assists, great day. To 1 turnover, excellent. 2 steals on top of that, too. just incredible day for Nick Boyd. Kind of like what you mentioned. Once Billy hit that first three for us, then we started to turn the wheels a little bit. Nick Boyd, he was a masterclass that whole first half for us. He pretty much, for the most part, got us going. BC obviously kicked in a little bit after that too, but he set the tone, I think, for especially how this game was going to go for the most part. Because he only attempted one field goal in the final 11 minutes of the game of the second half. So that tells you what his impact was, going into halftime and, starting the second half. He played at the speed that he's accustomed to at the end of the day, which is obviously a good thing for us. It's most likely going to lead to a victory for the most part. So dominated on both ends of the floor as far as I'm concerned, again, with the 9 rebounds and 5 assists. Incredible day for Nick Boyd. And then, another positive, the Badgers improved to 8-1 following a loss, which is great. It means that we, have a short-term memory, can just bounce back in the thick of things. So I'm glad. I think that was Tyler who called this out. I love the defensive intensity by John Blackwell and Nolan Winter, especially to start this game. They held their shooting guard Wesley Yates to 1 of 17 shooting and 1 of 8 3. Insane job. And I could tell right from the start, especially John Blackwell on defense, as soon as the dude crossed half court, he was up right in his grill. I wouldn't want no part of that. But I noticed that right away. Absolutely masterclass on defense, especially in that first half. It was a season low of 21 points for Washington that we gave up in that first half. Incredible job. We held Washington to 5 points the first 7 minutes to start the game in general. So again, starting games off like that, like I said, with John Blackwell getting involved, Nolan Winter, masterclass. Obviously a masterclass for sure. But no, I love the game. Great outcome. BC doing his thing, and we're on to bigger and better things. Obviously, 17 of 38 from 3, 45%.
You have to say it better than that. 17-38. Hey. I was thinking it the whole time, bro. I was like, somebody mentions it.
Son of a.
That's awesome. Fetty Wap would be proud. That's awesome.
But I mean, as far as going into senior night, going into Purdue, I'm really curious. It could just be a matchup thing, but I noticed as far as the rotation went for this game, I mean, with the exception of Will Garlock coming in for a few minutes, it was literally 7 guys playing. Hayden Jones didn't really get any minutes. So I'm wondering, if everyone stays out of foul trouble and whatnot, if they just keep a 7-man rotation like this, because for the most part, it was clicking when, those 7 guys are in the rotation. Blackwell didn't have his best game on offense, but he was still plus or minus. He was still plus 30, for this game. So even if he's not scoring, he's obviously going to be a big factor going forward, as we all know. I guess, even, going forward, I love having a guy like a Nick Boyd who's got plenty of experience in March. That's the one thing I think we really, really have going for us as Wisconsin going into March in these big moments and these big games coming up. All the eyes are going to start to be on us now. We're going to hear from Badger fans that may have watched 1 or 2 games all year, start to chirp a little bit, start to get involved in games. We're going to have to calm them down a little bit perhaps. But no, man, I love March. This best time of the year, my favorite month of the year. And see what we can do. Thank you, seniors, going into tonight. Hopefully we can get Isaac Gard a 3-point ball. That's all.
I was thinking that today. I was like, they gotta get Gard a bucket tonight. So 2 things before we head out here. 1, the Badgers scored 90 points and they only shot 5 free throws. Now they made all 5 because the only player that shot free throws in the game versus Washington was Braden Carrington. He made all 5 of his free throws. They scored 90 and shot 5 free throws. That's insane. That should show you how good this team can be offensively. And 2, this is unrelated to the Badgers. It's literally unrelated to the Big Ten, but it's about the Big 12, and it's something that I'm jealous about. Did you guys see the court that they're going to be playing the Big 12 tournament on?
No.
So I saw an article or a video or whatever come across my phone the other day. They're playing on an all-LED court.
Oh, they do that in Europe, and it looks so cool.
And the court, they can change the court to the higher seeds home court.
That's wild, dude.
Yes, dude. And they could do like, explosions when if somebody shoots a deep 3, like I always wonder, like when somebody hits a really deep one, like, damn, how far was that? You know, like that's the first thing in my head, like, damn, he made that. How far was that? Right? Yeah. They could put that on the floor right away. They could do like ads. I mean, because they don't have enough money on ads. They could do ads on the floor. They could do a lot of stuff. And apparently, from what I heard, is that, you know, the floor is like actually better for the long-term effect of these players, like knees and ankles and feet. And I'm like, well, how is it better for them? And then the ball still sounds the same. Some guy was sitting in front of a computer and he figured out how to make that work. But I was like, damn, bro, I'm jealous. I wish the Big Ten tourney was like that, because that would be fucking sick, dude. Like, I was like,
I actually saw I think it was the Raptors. They were using that to like train their quadrants and stuff like that, where their guys are supposed to be on the floor.
Yeah, like
stuff like that in the offseason. So it's really cool, actually. Like, where the kind of the future of technology and sports kind of intersects a little bit.
Yeah, but I think that's really cool.
Yeah. All right. So Mike kind of mentioned it already. The Badgers play Maryland tonight, and then they play at Purdue on Saturday. Those will be their last 2 regular season games before we get into the Big Ten tourney. So, is there anything else you guys want to say before we kick it off and see you guys next Wednesday?
Let's get 2 wins.
I'm ready for March. Like I said, March is here. Greatest time of the year. I've been watching tournament games from past years that get prep myself as we get into tournament season. I mean, it's great, man. I've been watching the Cinderella teams and everything. I've been going through YouTube quite a bit lately. I'm ready to go.
I'm gonna go watch some 2009 George Mason games.
Yes. 2013 Florida Gulf Coast Dunk City.
There you go.
Oh, what
the Lob City team. That was awesome.
Yes.
All righty. Trade said the Big 12 core was an eyesore, so I'm glad. All right. Fair. All righty. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, commenting along. We'll see you guys next Wednesday. Have a good night.
Later, fellas.
If you're a podcast host, listen up. This one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle. And I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.